Hey, pre-gamers, this is Steve coming to you from Corvallis as we get set to hit Week 12 of the college football season 2013. Hard to believe we're almost into bowl season, mid-November, but we're going to go ahead and break down some games of with Week 12 here. Before we do that, we're going to get into a special segment that has I've been approached by someone that seems to really want to put a pick in here, and she's really selective. My wife Misty is going to come on in and give us a pick for Week 12, and so come on in. This would be great. So what do you got?
So I got that the Beavers are going to shock the Devils this Saturday with a win. In the last 9 years, Mike Riley's Beavers have beaten ranked teams 4 times, coming off a bye week. That's it.
So that's it. Beavers straight up.
Straight up.
I like it. Well, hey, it's a profitable play, so I like it.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Good luck. Go.
All right. Hopefully more of that to come. So there you go. Beavers plus 450 on the money line. She's won a lot of money with these. She's selective. So there you go. So that's the play from our guest handicapper this week. And so there we go. So we're going to get right into Week 12 and our other plays here. We really like the first game up is Friday night in the Rose Bowl. UW at UCLA. Washington is sort of feeling kind of reinvigorated, even though they've just beaten up 2 of the 0-13 combined teams in the conference. Washington is deceptively good on offense. They're second, and they've vaulted all the way up to second in the conference in total offense, based on kind of some empty numbers against California and Colorado, both at home, where Washington has won by a combined 100-24 score and plus 250 yardage. When you separate those 2 games out of their stylistics and their overall team, they're just not that great still. I think that they're still in that sort of third tier of barely just viable teams in the conference. UCLA is really a dynamic team right now. They're very injured, they're very beat up, but they're playing very well. They played 19 seniors against freshmen against Oregon, and now they come in after a very rejuvenated win, playing a converted linebacker who, this running back Jack for UCLA went very viral with his performance, and just absolutely steamrolled through Arizona for 143 yards. Washington is just not very good in big road games under Sarkisian, especially late in the season. This year in true road games, they're 0-2-1 against the spread. They're 29% against winning teams on the road against the spread under Steve Sarkisian. This is a classic example of what's going to happen here with this Washington team here. I think that UCLA will win quite handily. They need to put that pressure on Arizona State to stay viable in the South race. They're 1 game behind. I really like UCLA minus 2.5 over Washington Friday night. I like them to win quite handily. Second game in the conference we're going to play is California and Colorado, the 2 winless teams here. It might seem illogical to play a game with so many messy yards and numbers, but I think that Colorado is far more of a mess than Cal is. Cal's played the toughest schedule in the nation. They're 1-9, but they have continued to put up points and yards against even good defenses. They've been in the 20s and 30s for several straight games, even against Oregon and against very, very good teams. Colorado, on the other hand, has just been flattened lately, and they are the second worst team defensively in Division I. They're having locker room fights. Guys are getting injured from fights with each other. They are a complete train wreck right now. Cal has essentially nothing to lose, even more so than Colorado, I believe, because they don't play at home again. So Cal is just looking for that win. Colorado has notched this as a win on their schedule. They've already said that they expect to win this game, which is why I like California plus 3 in this spot. California wins outright. I think that they will. It could be some sort of a shootout, but I think that California, the Bears, will pull off the first Pac-12 win for either one of these teams in Folsom Field in Boulder. The next couple games we're going to play is. We really like Houston at Louisville as a plus 16 favorite. Hope to have grabbed them at plus 17, but I think that UH could. You talk about a shootout game. This could be a 60-50 type of a game. Houston, this is a very similar spot that Louisville is in as they were in against Central Florida, a game that they lost. Louisville has not allowed a lot of points to weak teams at all. They've averaged 12 points a game in the last 6 on defense that they've given up. Yet they gave up 38 to a mid-level offensive team in Central Florida. They've underestimated teams like Central Florida and Houston, and I really think that the Cards are going to have their hands full with Houston here. I like UH to as a plus 16 favorite here. I like them a whole lot. I think this could also be, again, a 60-50 game. It really could. Houston is just so dynamic on offense, and they can run. They're balanced. They can run and pass, and they're quite good. They're 7-2. They're 4-1 in the conference. They are the second most experienced team coming into this season in FBS. I like Houston a lot in this spot, plus 16. We also like another big underdog in Boise. We like Wyoming to go into Boise and give the Broncos a little bit of a tussle. Quarterback for Wyoming is just continuing to put up just phenomenal numbers. Brett Smith is he was finally stopped last week in Fresno, 48-10 they lost, which why I think that this line is a little bit overblown at plus 23.5. I like the Cowboys to hang around in this. Boise State's pass defense is actually in the bottom end of the Mountain West. They haven't been all that great, especially compared to years past. Again, Wyoming's another team that's balanced. They have a good running attack. In the last 3 weeks, their running back Sean Wick has gained almost 100 yards a game for 3 games. And this defensive unit for Boise is just not the unit that we've grown accustomed to seeing in the upper 20 teams of FBS defenses. And Boise State is still they're just in kind of a reloading year at 6-3. Wyoming's 4-5. They need at least 2. They would like to go bowling. They believe that they can. This could even be an upset spot. I would doubt that would happen, but I think Boise will struggle with Wyoming enough so that Wyoming will cover quite easily. So we're taking Wyoming plus 23.5 against a Boise State team still without that's still kind of reeling from losing their starting quarterback Southwick. They've won 37-20 and against weak teams. And those kinds of scores. So I like Wyoming plus 23.5 there. The last football game that we have here, college football, is a very compelling game in Jerry Jones Stadium in Arlington, and that is Texas Tech against Baylor in a neutral game. Baylor opened this line opened at 4 touchdowns. And I still think Baylor will cover 26.5 points against Texas Tech. The Raiders are reeling after 3 straight losses. After starting 7-0, they've lost 3 straight games. They've allowed 40 points a game in their last 5 games. Their defense is just inept, and I think that Baylor could hang 70 on them without a problem. Baylor may not need style points, but you got to believe that they're going to want to get them, especially on this big stage. I just look for Baylor to absolutely steamroll and just hammer Texas Tech here. Even though it's neutral and even though it's such a big number, I truly like Baylor's defense is underrated. I believe they've got a lot of speed on the edges on defense. I think that and they've seen that hybrid pistol that Texas Tech runs enough times to where I think that they can corral that and win 35 to 40 points. or more. Lastly, we're going to throw in one more game, and that's college basketball, just a one-unit play with Florida State going in tomorrow night, Wednesday night. This game may have already gone off by the time this hits tape, but Leonard Hamilton's Florida State team goes into Orlando, and plays Central Florida tomorrow night, and it's essentially a pick'em game. And Florida State is they are a absolute hammerlock of a big physical team. They play 3 7-footers. They are the third or fourth biggest team in Division One, and they really should be pretty salty, and they should be back this year to that. Maybe not to the level they were 2 years ago, where they were the best defensive team, most efficient in terms of limiting points per possession from their opponents. They went from first to 13th to somewhere around the top third last year, but they should be all the way, all the way back to a very deliberate, very very intense defensive team. Central Florida did very poorly last year, and in this night's team, they lost as most of these as favorites, but they covered only twice out of 9 times against the top defensive proficient teams last year, and I see this much the same way. They're a favorite here, and I can't quite figure it out. I really like Florida State here to go into Orlando and capture this win. So I've got Florida State plus 110 on a money line at Central Florida. So that's just a one-unit basketball game for tomorrow night. These early season college basketball games, we can find some nice value in there. We really were frustrated last night with Belmont at Richmond. Belmont down by we had Belmont plus 6, and it looked so solid. 26 seconds ago, Belmont had 3 nice looks at some open looks to either tie or to get only one down. They couldn't get those. Richmond hit all their free throws, so Richmond stretched that out to an 8-point win, just right at the horn, which does happen in college basketball. That's just kind of the things that we're going to have to get accustomed to when we play several hundred college basketball games every year. So that's our card there. Again, love UCLA. We really like Cal plus 3, UCLA minus 2.5. We like Wyoming plus 23.5. We like Baylor minus 26.5. And that is pretty much our card for college football this week. We also like a one-unit play in college basketball tomorrow night, Florida State plus 110. So there you go, guys. Might be the first time we've seen a female face on one of these, which I just couldn't possibly welcome anymore, of course. So that's going to do it for Week 12 wrap-up picks. And we actually may have 2 more plays that we'll drop into the forum if the lines move the right way. Right now they haven't. So there's a couple more plays we're looking at. I was looking at Oregon State, to be honest. Arizona State spooks me a little. They're very tough, but that's a solid play. It's a profitable play. So that's our card for the week. Y'all have a great week, and we will all talk to you very soon. Go Beavers.